How's everybody doing? Good. Let's get started then, really. So if you go to sleep, I understand. Let's have a word of prayer before we get started. Father God in heaven, thank you for this wonderful, beautiful Sabbath day and all the blessings that you've given us on this holy day. As we embark on studying a little bit more about health, I pray, Father, that the Holy Spirit will guide us in our study this day. In Jesus' name, amen. And we started something about high blood pressure before, and there's so many different things that cause it. It's called a multifaceted disease. No one can really put a finger on one cause for high blood pressure. For years, it's called hypertension, right? And early on, they were thinking that it was stress and tension that caused blood pressure. And then the medical professionals got in there and said, no, that's not true. Stress doesn't have anything to do with high blood pressure. Now it's kind of, the pendulum has swung back the other way. Now we know for a fact that it does. And just so you understand, I put it distress, because stress, and I'll show you a slide in a minute, is broken down in different categories now, okay? But the next one is oxidative stress. How many of you have a clue what oxidative stress may be? Okay. All right, I hope to teach you something that's very important about what happens in your body with this oxidative stress, because they are finding now it plays such a major role in most chronic diseases. Going back to the last program we had, just to kind of bring us up to date, this is the age-specific and age-adjusted prevalence of high blood pressure in individuals 18 and over. Simply, just let me boil it down this way. There are over 75 million individuals with high blood pressure in this country that's been diagnosed and either are under treatment or not being treated. But there's probably another 20 plus million that don't even know they've got it. So the statements that are being made today, and if you understand the diet, as you were talking about with the diet, and so many things that we're getting in our food chain now that is negatively affecting our health in more ways than one, not just with cancer. He was mentioning the glyphosate that I get on that soapbox a lot. But there's a lot of other chemicals that are being used in our food chain today that has been approved for usage by the FDA, the USDA, and other powers to be. But what we're finding is that they are carcinogenic, so many of them. And as they find out, and then there's a big news release on it, then they take them off the market, but that doesn't help us any. Down the road, all the people have been basically exposed to these things. But with that being known, with the incidence of hypertension, and in the good old days, when I worked with the American Heart Association, we were going around taking blood pressures, and we were finding, even back then, that probably 50% of the people that we tested had elevated blood pressure. So these are some of the causes. Okay, like I said, it's a multifaceted problem. Overweight or obese, lack of physical activity plays a major role in this. As I was studying the spirit of prophecy on this and was talking about how that we need to be active. It's good to study, it's good to be smart, it's good to be, good, get on a good diet, that's wonderful. But if you got to add the exercise to this, for so many different reasons, not just for the fact that it helps to dilate your vessels, but also because it helps your brain, your heart, your kidneys, your muscles, every possible facet of your system. We talked about diet before, so I'm not going to go into that too much, except at the end of the program, if you will remind me, if I forget, I'll tell you about 2 superfoods that they've just released in 2018 they were studying these foods primarily for high blood pressure, and I got to share those with you. Don't let me forget, okay? All right, because you might want to add them to your diet. Any of us. Too much salt in the diet. Age factors. As the older we get, our vessels kind of get a little hard. They're not pliable. And as a result, we begin to notice that our blood pressure begins to go up. I've had many, many individuals that I've talked to over the years said, my blood pressure's been good all my life, and all of a sudden, you know, I go to Publix or go somewhere and take it, and I'm finding that it's elevated. What's wrong with me, you know? And by the way, those two superfoods I'm talking about also helps with that. Okay, so don't let me forget. All right, okay. Genetics. Genetics plays about 5% in this picture. Your predisposition for high blood pressure is about 5% because of genetics, okay? The last two I put up there was stress and oxidative stress, all right? This is why I say that, you know, the stress factors play such a different role in this. Oh no, it's not coming on, Chester, the light. Okay, sorry. The body's response is stress is the body's response to any demand made upon it, the general wear and tear of daily living. Stressors. There are so many different types of stressors, demands, events, situation, and all kinds of things that can cause it. But we want to talk about distress. That's when your stress gets totally out of control. And it's destructive to your physical, mental, and emotional health, increases the development of free radicals. I wanted you just to kind of keep that free radical concept in your mind. But there is a good stress, and it's important. Okay. I think the indicator came on, but the light didn't come on. A positive form of stress is, this is what use stress is. It's basically beneficial to the health. It's a motivator. It helps you. Let's see if it does. Yep, there you go. Motivation, performance, and emotional well-being. So there is such a thing as a good stress. But I have to share this with you. The body doesn't know the difference between good stress and bad stress, internal stress, whether it be something, whether it's a condition that you have, you may not know about, inflammatory condition you may have, or stepping out in front of a truck and blowing his horn, you jump back, it's still stress. It all goes to the same area of your body. And that area of the body is primarily the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus then in turn releases these hormones that produce more hormones. This is from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland down to the adrenal gland. And in the adrenal gland, you've heard of adrenaline, right? Adrenal glands produce adrenaline. It's in the medullary portion, but in the external area of the adrenal glands, you have this instant release of cortisol if the body stays under stress, and it stays there for a period of time. Then the cortisol begins to flow out into the system for a lot of reasons. It's a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad, unless it gets too high, where your adrenal glands are just too active. And then that's when it really does affect the entire body, and it begins to create something, again, that we call free radicals. Okay, stress and high blood. Individuals who often feel stressed, anxious, unhappy, or depressed are twice as likely to develop high blood pressure in the next 9 years compared to people who are not anxious or unhappy much of the time. Note, the chemical cortisol and catecholamines created by this mental stress can create these free radicals. Okay? Well, what in the world is a free radical? All right? A free radical is an oxygen-containing molecule that has one or more unpaired electrons. Well, what does that mean? Right? Well, just look at it this way. It's a charged particle. When you have a reaction in your body, it just releases this oxygen containing molecule that is very highly reactive. The thing that it does primarily, it won't roam around too long because it has a very short lifespan, but it will seek and destroy healthy cells. It will attach itself to DNA, which can really disrupt your entire DNA system. And it is the most dangerous aspect of these free radicals. Now, let me go ahead and say, though, that in your normal biochemical actions of your body every day, you're producing free radicals. Okay? But we have something that we know about, that I've talked to you about a long time, that you can eat that will help to destroy these free radicals. And what is that? What do you think it is? Milk? Meat? Fruit? Vegetables? Only in your fresh or your plant-based diet will you find free radical scavengers. And these are called antioxidants. Okay? That's the only way you're going to get them, folks, is in a plant-based diet. Hey, do you remember those two foods that I was going to tell you about, superfoods? I want to talk about that too. So don't let me forget. I got to share those with you. Okay, all right. It's going to be brand new. You never heard of them before. Formation of free radicals. What you will find, if you'll notice here, talking about different aspects in metabolism, the other biochemical reactions, we got inflammation, they cause it. You have environmental pollutions and toxins that cause this. You have all kinds of different things that will cause more abundant release of these free radicals. And I will just share this with you real quick. It's been estimated by scientists that just in your normal process of biochemical reactions and your reactions of your body every day, you are producing about 300 sextillion free radicals. That's 21 zeros. Okay? Can't count those. You know, that's like the stars in the heaven. Every day of your life. Okay? And I want you to just watch this video, and you kind of get a little bit better idea of about what a free radical is.
Healthy tissue cells. Entering a tissue cell through the cell membrane. There are many elements in our body that comprise molecules. An electron from the outer bonding shell of one element forms a bond with the outer bonding second element, forming what is called a chemical bond. During oxidation, an electron can be knocked out of the chemical bond, resulting in a highly reactive free radical where an unshared electron occurs. Oxidation factors include poor diet, pollution, drugs, radiation, stress, injury, aging, and infection. Disease risk include cancer, heart disease, arthritis, autoimmune disease, and over 90 other diseases. This free radical can capture electrons from normal healthy molecules and create free radicals that damage the healthy molecules, such as molecules found in DNA. The damaged cell can release free radicals and continue the effects of oxidative stress to surrounding cells. To prevent or reverse these very destructive processes, the body constantly needs a reservoir of antioxidant molecules. Antioxidants are important in defending against free radicals. Antioxidant molecules have extra electrons and can supply electrons to neutralize free radicals. The antioxidants travel through blood vessels to reach the damaged cells. The antioxidant molecule will supply the free radical with an electron to repair and stabilize the chemical bond. In supplying electrons, the antioxidant molecules do not themselves become free radicals. Frequent healthy dosages of a variety of antioxidants will assure this destructive oxidation process will be minimized, reducing the potential for cancer, heart disease, autoimmune disease, and diabetes, not to mention their importance in anti-aging.
Sound good? So you can just eat the antioxidants, right? And you'll be okay. All right. Well, let's just go over it just one more time. Without enough of antioxidants, the free radicals take over and it causes oxidative damage. Just to kind of recap, increasing stresses in your life and exacerbates this whole process, okay? So you have to figure out what you need to be eating to counteract this, because what diseases are caused by this oxidative stress? You remember?
Cancer, diabetes, heart disease.
Right. Which are the real chronic issues, and Alzheimer's as well. Here is what they've come up with. And since we are not talking about all of these today, we will be talking about hypertension. You notice it affects the heart. It also affects the blood vessels and the brain, all of which can cause high blood pressure. But look at all of the others that he didn't mention. You know, you've got a lot of different conditions that are related to oxidative stress, and most of them are chronic. So is this a major cause of chronic diseases? And the answer is yes, it is. So trying to figure out how we can reverse this is going to be very, very important, all right? So oxidative stress, again, is essentially an imbalance between the production of free radicals and the ability of the body to counteract or detoxify their harmful effects through neutralization by using these antioxidants, okay? Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about antioxidants, all right? Exogenous, who knows what exogenous means? From outside, right? Okay. Antioxidants are substances that may protect cells from damage caused by free radicals. Antioxidants interact with and stabilize free radicals and can help prevent some of these damaging effects that it causes. Examples of these include beta-carotene. Where do you get beta-carotene? Carrots. Everybody says that first, right? You know what has more beta-carotene than anything else as far as your food? Sweet potatoes. Lycopene. Where do you get lycopene? Tomatoes. You know what bioflavonoids are? Well, you get those in citrus. You can get them in just all kinds of foods. CoQ10 enzyme, vitamin C, E, and A, selenium, resveratrol, and sulforaphane. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now, just so you guys know. Those two, resveratrol And what you get from where? Grapes. And a lot of other fruits, okay? And they are also in some vegetables. Where do you think you get sulforaphane from? Green leafy vegetables, broccoli. Some of the major studies, folks, I got to share this with you, UCLA, Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, are studying those two, in particular this one. They've discovered it in broccoli, and they've been using it actually to treat cancer, autism, and a number of these other conditions that you see up there. So your green leafy vegetables, are they important? Right, they are. And I will share this with you as well. If you can eat them green and not cook them, they're better for you. I'll tell you why. Sulforaphane doesn't really exist in the plant. Well, we just said it did, didn't we? You get them from broccoli and kale and cauliflower, right? But it doesn't exist there. What does exist there is compounds called glucosinolates, like glucoraphanin. And there is an enzyme in there that's called myrosinase. And when you just simply start chewing the green, it causes a chemical reaction, and guess what? It forms sulforaphane. And I'll share this with you as well. When you cook them, a lot of the myrosinase is destroyed. So how are we going to do this? Eat it raw.
Can we juice it?
Juicing, absolutely. Absolutely. It's in the juice. So you've got an array of things that God has provided for us. I mean, yeah, most of us cook our greens to death, don't we? we take cabbage and cook it, but we can also eat coleslaw, right? Or eat it raw, right? Kale. How many of you eat raw kale? It's very, very good for you. Broccoli. How many of you eat raw broccoli? Well, that's the way to eat it. You know. I mean, I'm not saying don't cook it, because some of the myrosinase it might be in there, but if you can eat some raw with it, it's very good for you.
What about colored greens? Colored greens.
Yes. All your cruciferous vegetables, your brassicas they call them, all of those have these compounds in there. It's just that they've studied broccoli and kale more than any of the others. That's the only reason why they mention them is studies. Okay. All right, we've already stated that. Okay. So that's how you write out 300. Question? I'm sorry, Alex. Right.
Is it any advantage to not taking pills?
Well, it's just, we like for our foods to be our medicine, and I think, it's, to me, taking a supplement is better than not eating your vegetables. I mean, you've got to take them. It's just, and they are antioxidants, and they're from the natural sources. Alex, just so you know, I've got a good friend in the pharmaceutical world that created the synthetic form of resveratrol. And he point blank told me in a letter, it doesn't work. He said, but the real thing does. Well, most of the supplements you find are from a natural source, and you need to know that. And that is something, I'm glad you brought that up, because there are some synthetics out there that just don't work. But yes, to answer your question, supplementation may be the only answer for a lot of us.
So if you get your resveratrol from Costco, is that synthetic or is that plant-based?
It's plant-based. Yeah. Yeah. So how much antioxidant foods or supplements must we consume to neutralize this many free radicals? You have any idea? Quite a bit, you think? Guess again. Over 365 oranges, over 15 pounds of blueberries. This is per day. Get ready. Got to eat a lot. And then on supplementation, like with vitamin C, you need to take 172 pills. Is that good enough? Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? But I want to share this with you. It's very important, though, to have these foods on board, like the resveratrol. Okay? And this is the reason why. It's because God, in His wonderful infinite wisdom, has produced something in our bodies that we get from the foods that we eat. Let me share this with you. Our bodies contain its own antioxidant pharmacology for dealing with this overwhelming number of free radicals we generate daily. These antioxidant enzymes neutralize around 1 million free radicals per second for the life of their existence for 2 weeks. 3 of these enzymes are glutathione. How many of you remember me talking about glutathione? SOD, superoxide dismutase, and catalase. We'll talk about glutathione, but I will share this with you. Every one of these, you can get them, and it's actually through genetic response in your system. It's called epigenetics. You remember me going over this study with you? It's to create a scenario to release these in your body, and it does this. And the 2 major characters on the field of play here are sulforaphane and resveratrol. There's a whole bunch more, okay, that you can get. But if you eat the foods with these, it's not necessarily going to be directly attacking free radicals. Even though they do, that's not the real reason you're eating them. You're eating them so that the body begins to produce its own, and it does it through these genetic pathways. NRF2 is one. SRT1 is another. These are pathways that's been studied now, and they know. But just think about this. If I can eat sulforaphane in my broccoli, in my kale, or take it, because they have it in supplement form, it releases almost up to 300% higher levels of glutathione in your system. So remember what I said, one thing, how much oranges you would have to eat with the vitamin C as well. Because 1 molecule of vitamin C will neutralize 1 one free radical, excuse me. So that's the reason why you have to eat so much. But 1 molecule of glutathione will neutralize 1 million free radicals per second all day long for its entire life. So eating your fresh fruits and your fresh vegetables are extremely important to neutralize these things. This is Dr. Mark Hyman. He is head of, I forget which division of Cleveland Clinic, but he'll go into the glutathione thing with you.
What is the most important molecule that you need to stay healthy and prevent disease? Hi, this is Dr. Mark Hyman. Welcome back. Now, why have most of you never heard about this? And why is it the secret to prevent aging, cancer, heart disease, dementia, and more? And why is it necessary to treat everything from autism to Alzheimer's? And why are there over 76,000 medical articles about it, and your doctor doesn't know how to address the epidemic deficiency of this critical life-giving molecule? What is it? It's the mother of all antioxidants, the master detoxifier, and the maestro of the immune system. It's called glutathione. The good news is your body produces its own glutathione. The bad news is that our poor diet, pollution, toxins, medications, stress, trauma, aging, infections, and radiation all deplete your body's glutathione levels. And this leaves you susceptible to unrestrained cell disintegration from oxidative stress and free radicals, to infections and cancer, and your liver gets overloaded, making it damaged and unable to do its job of detoxification. So, in treating chronically ill patients using functional medicine over the last 10 years, I have found that glutathione deficiency is found in nearly all of my very ill patients. Those who have chronic fatigue, heart disease, cancer, chronic infections, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, autism. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, arthritis, asthma, kidney problems, liver disease, you name it. If you're very sick, you likely have a glutathione deficiency. Now, at first I thought this was just coincidental when I saw this, but over the years I've come to realize that our ability to produce and maintain a high level of this glutathione molecule in our bodies is critical to recovery from nearly all chronic illness and to prevent disease and to maintain optimal health and performance. And so have the authors of the 76,000 medical articles on glutathione. Okay, so what's glutathione? What does it do for us? And how can we get more of it? Well, glutathione is a very simple molecule that's produced naturally all the time in your body. It's a combination of 3 simple building blocks we call amino acids: cysteine, glycine, and glutamate. The secret of its power is the sulfur chemicals it contains. Sulfur is a very sticky, smelly molecule. It sort of acts like flypaper, and all the bad things in the body stick onto it. Free radicals and toxins like mercury and other heavy metals. Normally, it's recycled in the body, except when the toxic load becomes too high. And that explains why we're in such trouble. In my practice, I test for the genes involved in glutathione metabolism, genes involved in producing the enzymes that allow the body to produce and recycle the glutathione. They have lots of names, GSTM1 and GSTP1 and so on. The fact is that we all evolved in a time before there were 80,000 toxic industrial chemicals that were introduced into our world, before electromagnetic radiation was everywhere, before we polluted our lakes and rivers and skies and oceans and teeth with dental amalgams and with mercury and lead. And that's why we often got by with just a basic version of the genetic detoxification software that's encoded in our DNA. And it's sort of mediocre at getting rid of toxins in the body. We just really didn't need more. Who knew we would be poisoning ourselves and eating a processed, nutrition-depleted diet? That's why almost half of the population has a limited capacity to get rid of toxins. They're missing GSTM1 function. And nearly all my very sick patients, including me, which explains why I became mercury poisoned and why I suffer from chronic fatigue, are missing this particular gene. And that makes them the yellow canaries in the coal mine. And that may be up to 1/3 to 1/2 of our population who suffers from chronic disease. So why is glutathione so important? Well, it recycles all the antioxidants in the body. It helps us deal with free radicals. And dealing with free radicals is like handling a hot potato, right? The free radical gets passed around. It goes from vitamin C to vitamin E to lipoic acid and then finally to glutathione, which cools it off and recycles the other antioxidants. And then the body can reduce or regenerate another protective glutathione molecule. And we're back in business. The problem occurs when we're overwhelmed with too much oxidative stress or too many toxins. Then glutathione becomes depleted, leading us towards some terrible illness. And we can no longer protect ourselves against free radicals or infections or cancer, and we can't get rid of toxins, and this leads to further accumulation and further illness. Glutathione is also critical in helping your immune system do its job of fighting infections and preventing cancer, and that's why studies show that it can help even in the treatment of AIDS. Glutathione is also the most critical and integral part of your detoxification system. All the toxins stick onto glutathione, which then carries it in the bile and the stool and out of our body. So that's great. And lastly, it helps us reach peak mental and physical functioning. And in fact, research has shown that raised glutathione levels actually decrease muscle damage, reduce recovery time, increase strength and endurance, and shift metabolism from fat production to muscle development. So if you're sick or old or just not in peak shape, you likely have glutathione deficiency. In fact, the top British medical journal, The Lancet, found that the highest glutathione levels were found in healthy young people, a little bit lower in healthy elderly, and lower still in the sick elderly, and the lowest of all was in the hospitalized sick elderly. So keeping yourself healthy, boosting your performance, preventing disease and aging will depend on keeping your glutathione levels high. So the reason that glutathione is so important is that it's responsible for keeping so many of the keys to ultra wellness optimized. It's critical for immune function and controlling inflammation. It's the master detoxifier. It's the main antioxidant and protects our cells and our energy metabolism. So what about the good news? Okay, I gave you a lot of bad news. The good news is you can do a lot of things to increase this natural and critical molecule in your body. So you can eat glutathione boosting foods, you can exercise, and you can take glutathione boosting supplements. All right, so let's talk about what to eat. What should you eat if you want to boost glutathione? First, I want you to enjoy sulfur-containing foods. And the main ones are garlic and onions, and And the broccoli family are cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, kale, collards, cabbage, cauliflower, watercress, all these great foods that are full of powerful sulfur-containing molecules. Also, you can use bioactive whey protein. Remember Little Miss Muffet and her curds and whey, right? That clear liquid that comes off on the top of yogurt. This is the greatest source of cysteine and amino acid building blocks for glutathione synthesis. And I'm not a big fan of dairy, as you know, but there's an exception with a few warnings. The whey protein must be bioactive. It must be made from non-denatured proteins, which means the denatured protein is a breakdown of normal protein structure. It should be from non-pasteurized and non-industrially produced milk, which makes it free of pesticides, hormones, and antibiotics. There's one called the Immunocal, which is actually prescription bioactive non-denatured whey protein that's even listed in the physician's desk reference. Okay, what about exercise? What type of exercise? Well, exercise is pretty straightforward. So not over-exercise, because that depletes glutathione, but regular exercise boosts your glutathione and helps your immune system and so on. So start slowly, build up to 30 minutes a day of vigorous aerobic exercise like walking or jogging or sports, which I like tennis or basketball. Strength training, 20 minutes 3 times a week is also helpful. And lastly, you can take some glutathione boosting supplements. So it would be easy just to take glutathione as a pill, right? But the body digests the protein and you don't get the benefits. It also requires lots of different nutrients to support the production of glutathione in the body. So the main factors that involved need to be taken consistently to boost glutathione. That means every day I'm going to tell you about. First, besides taking your multivitamin fish oil, supporting my glutathione levels is the most important thing I do every day for my health. So first one I use is something called N-acetylcysteine, or NAC, or NAC. This has been used for lots of years in medical practice to help treat asthma and lung disease, to treat people with life-threatening liver failure, even in the emergency room from Tylenol. But now it's even used to prevent kidney damage from dyes used in a hospital from X-ray studies. So it's got a lot of widespread application. The next is alpha-lipoic acid, and this is a close second to glutathione in the importance in protecting our cells and energy production and blood sugar control and many things. We make in our bodies, but we often become depleted. Next, and this is critical because there's 2 cycles here. I've written about this methylation cycle before, but this cycle of B12, folate, and B6 is critical for helping the body continue to produce the glutathione. Very critical, folate, B6, and B12. And lastly, we need selenium and the family of antioxidants and milk thistle, which is an herb, all of which can help boost glutathione levels. So remember, if you want to stay healthy and be ultra well, make sure your glutathione levels are up and functioning well. So thanks for listening to me today. This has been Dr. Mark Hyman, and I'll see you next time.
Okay. He kind of spoke pretty fast, didn't he? Did you get some of it, though? Do you think that he believes in glutathione? And I will share this with you, that the studies on reversing Alzheimer's from Dr. Dale Bredesen, they talk about this, the importance of it with brain function, all kinds of chronic illnesses, and can you just, let's kind of pare it back for me. What kind of foods do you think he was suggesting eating? What were they? Some of them. Onions and garlic? Why? They contain the sulfur molecule that he was talking about, right? What other ones? Broccoli and kale. We already talked about that, right? And what supplements? Yeah, let me share that with you just for a moment, because 50% of you here can't convert cobalamin, which is your B12 that you normally buy, or your folic acid. It doesn't convert into the methyl form. So what I'm going to suggest to you, and this is something you need to write down, is methylcobalamin. That is the one, if you're looking at B12 bottle, get the methyl form of it. And likewise with the folate, it's called methylfolate. All right? And then the vitamin B6 is P5P. Okay? P is in Paul, 5, P is in Paul. It's on the bottle. It's the way it will be. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to give you the long name. Just that's easy to remember the initials, right? Those are the ones that you need to take for that he is suggesting. Okay?
Those vitamins, do you take all of them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alpha lipoic acid. Huh? Yeah. And then he mentioned the supplement of N-acetylcysteine. Now, the herbs, ashwagandha, turmeric, he didn't mention. The milk thistle he did mention, and the bacopa. I'll share this when he talked about eating that bioactive whey protein. Do you remember? You know what that is? That's milk. Yeah. A lot of us don't drink milk or take anything from the animal kingdom, right? Is that correct? Yeah. So how are you going to get it? Somewhere else, he said. Absolutely. You want to guess where it might be? Where? Well, yeah, you can. I'm talking about in your food. You can get it in that. You can get it in almond milk to a degree, but they're incomplete. Let's go back to our legumes and our nuts and our seeds. If you will eat, again, according to Spirit of Prophecy, a wide variety of these things, you'll be okay. You'll get all of the cysteine, all of the different amino acids necessary to build the glutathione. Plus, he didn't go into superoxide dismutase, which is another enzyme in our body. It's actually in the liver. It does a tremendous amount of work for us as well in ridding our bodies of free radicals, and the catalase as well. So, but I will share this with you that it is extremely important what he's saying, because nearly every one of the chronic conditions out there, you will find that the individual has a glutathione inactivity. It's just not there in the system. Yes, ma'am?
You mentioned fish oil. Can you do the flaxseed oil?
Yes. Yes. And for years and years now, they've talked about the fish oil because our bodies won't convert. See, the two in fish oil is DHA and EPA. Those are the two. I'm not going to give you a long name for them, but those are the two that are the active according the omega-3, okay? But you get it in chia seed oil. You can get it in your flax oil as well. Our bodies will convert it into whatever it needs as far as DHA and EPA. Ann?
When you say get in the chia seed oil, is it the same as using the chia seed itself?
Yeah.
You get as much of the seeds like from the oil?
Yeah. Just anything, it's in the oil. In chia, flax, sunflower, there's a number of them with the omega-3s. And like I said, the body converts that particular type into your EPA and DHA in the body. All right?
Do you know if baking flax seeds damages them?
Huh?
If you bake the flax seeds like in granola, is it still
You bake them?
it's in the granola you do?
Yeah. Raw is. Well, you still get them in the oil. It's not going to affect the essentials, not at all. Okay, it's in the oil. All right. Just going down these one more time: asparagus, avocado, spinach. I didn't put I did garlic and onions on there, etc. But that is the basic. If you wanted to build, if you have a chronic condition, and I mean this, folks, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, if you're experiencing memory loss or cognitive dysfunction, any of these, you need to be eating these kinds of foods, because the more you eat them, the more glutathione is produced, and it is your safeguard against these diseases. It really is. And the reason that I put this out there is because we have been talking about high blood pressure, and that is a major factor of lack of glutathione in our systems. I know that this has happened to me. Moving on, at the bottom down there, you notice that I said the activation of the NRF2 pathway. Now, I don't want to get into a lot of science, but I just will tell you that since most of the studies that are really coming out that is of interest to all of us is the fact that the science is showing that these particular genetic pathways, this one in particular, is stimulated only by natural sources. Synthetics don't do anything for it. So chemicals, so pharmaceuticals are out of, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to cure these diseases with pharmaceuticals if you're trying to go the genetic pathway. You're going to have to eat your foods like this we've been talking about. Well, let's talk about the NRF2 pathway. At the very center of our cellular protective pathway is a protein called NRF2 that serves as a master regulator of the body's antioxidant response. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this one, again, is one of those genetic pathways that trigger the release of glutathione, okay? If you can stimulate this pathway, so let's talk about this just for a moment. The activation of this can protect your cardiovascular system. If you, and it's done through a myriad of things, but let's just go over a few of them. Reduce high blood pressure and improves heart, muscle efficiency, protects the blood vessels. It enhances the production of NO, nitric oxide. Remember at the beginning I said you remind me of two foods? Don't let me forget it. Okay, all right. Okay. Increases production of specific, the atherogenic, heart-protecting enzymes like superoxide dismutase, glutathione, peroxidase, and catalase. I didn't put that one on there. Protects blood vessels from inflammation. Now, here's the pathway. I want you to look at this. Now, what are the foods? Blueberries, grapes, turmeric, cruciferous vegetable, both of these, and milk thistle. Well, that's a supplement, but you can eat it. Those in turn, they actually activate the NRF2 protein pathway, and as a result of that, hypertension treatment and prevention, cardiovascular, DNA repair, diabetes prevention, Alzheimer's, cancer prevention, and slows the aging process. Same thing that he was talking about with glutathione, right? So there it is up there at the top. Resveratrol and sulforaphane. Those two that I mentioned to you. Where you get your sulforaphane from again? What kind of vegetables? Broccoli, kale, cauliflower. Okay, all right, got it. Right? And where do you get your resveratrol? Grapes or supplementation. All right? Now, if I've done nothing else today, telling you about those two things, it will absolutely help you with your chronic condition. And that's all of them. High blood pressure, cardiovascular issues, cerebrovascular issues, go right down the list, okay? All right.
When I eat grapes, my blood sugar goes high.
Okay, then take your supplement of resveratrol.
They won't do that with supplement?
No, ma'am. Questions? Okay. These are, I'm going to just go over this just briefly. But before I go over this, the two foods that you need to write down, brand spanking new studies on beets and beet juice and arugula. What they've discovered with the arugula and its effect on high blood pressure is that it had dropped significantly both systolic and diastolic pressures in their study just by adding the arugula on board. And they were given about something like 200 grams, to these patients that were eating it. Personally, I don't like either one of them. But guess what? I'm going to eat them anyway. Huh? Arugula is a cruciferous vegetable. You can get it at Publix. You can get it anywhere. I grow it now. I've been growing it for some time. It looks almost like it's a spike type leaf on it, but it is the same family as broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and all of those. It has a very distinct, it is in a lot of your salad mixes you'll find arugula, but it's in boxes. They have containers of it in Publix, and it's arugula. It has a distinct flavor to it. It's a peppery flavor. Yeah. But let me tell you what it does. What they discovered is that it has nitrates in it, natural nitrates, okay? Just like beet juice. These nitrates, when you eat them, the natural ones, converts into, the nitrate is NO3, for those of you that are science ilk. It converts into NO2 and NO, a nitric oxide, which does what we already talked about? Dilates your vessels. It not only dilates your vessels for those of you who have high blood pressure, but it increases the cerebral blood flow, peripheral vascular blood flow. It softens your blood vessels. As you know, I'm talking about it, as we get older, they get a little hard. And they do, folks. Softens them up, makes them more pliable, so that you reduce your blood pressure and you keep that blood flow going to your body. The important vessels here, the brain, the heart, right? And that's what it helps. How much? Beet juice.
Do they have to be fresh beets?
No, they have the powdered beet juice they were doing a study with.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah.
But can you just eat canned beets?
Yeah, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It's in there. No, the nitrate doesn't go away, okay? So they get the powdered beet juice now, and a lot of people are getting that, and they're getting an abundance of this nitrate. Arugula, how much arugula should you eat a day? I don't know. It depends on you. I'm going to be good just to eat a handful personally, except for one thing. I'm going to start growing arugula microgreens, because I found that the nitrate level in them are sometimes 10 times the amount you get in the mature plant. Isn't that great?
Before I forget it, it seems like these, what do you call them,
Microgreens.
Yeah, they're more expensive though than
Yeah, they're easy to grow though. They're,
hydroponics are also expensive.
yeah.
Will the prices come down as
Oh, it's going to continue to come down, especially in the villages. It's really going to come down. You know why? Because I'm going to be growing them. The farm is going to be in full operation probably in June, all right? And microgreens are going to be in full operation in the latter part of May. So I'm going to be putting them in the stores, and we're going to have them available, and they're going to be, prices are coming way down.
So when you go to put them in stores, what stores? Are just the stores in the villages? I guess you give us a list of where.
Every one of the squares, they call them, Spanish, Springs and Sumter Landing and Brownwood, and there's others that they're building. Each of them are going to have a store where they're going to offer these, but they're also going to be offered in some of the big box stores as well.
Like Publix?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just
But they're also going to have in the villages, I don't think they're going to have them over here, but they have these, I guess, Airstream trailers they're rigged out now to carry produce in different sections of the villages as well for people to buy. Kind of interesting stuff, but really put the burden on us. We got to really start growing. Yeah, Ann.
I know beets are very good. I mean, excellent for whatever you call it, because from kids' stage they thought they eat beet or drink the juice. But how do you use that much beets today when they're saying that most of our beets, even recently I read an article that they're saying even the beets that are supposed to be, I lost my thought, like not planted regular, that they're one of the #1 messed up crops with the GMO products. So I haven't had beets for years because of fear of that GMO thing. But I know beets are very, very good for a lot of ailments.
Yeah.
So where did it go?
Well, the beets that are GMO, just so you know, are the ones for sugar. They convert them into sugar. They're not the ones you get in your store for eating.
Really?
Right,
So the ones in the stores are good?
right. They're not GMO. And not only that, but I'm telling you right now that GMO stuff is on its way out, folks. It's just a matter of time. And but anyway, let's go back to the stress issue. Any other questions on any of this? Okay. Lifestyle changes that can assist in reducing distress and controlling blood pressure. Simplify your life. If it's complicated, simplify it. You know, one I didn't put on this one because I cut and pasted this out of an article that was from, I think, the Cleveland Clinic. But I should have put at the very top, always trusting God. Always. This is the way you reduce your stresses. Turn it over to Him. Let Him deal with it. And He will. Right? Yes. Right. Draw up a schedule and stick to it. Get enough sleep. How much sleep? 7 to 8 hours. And when do you go to bed?
9 o'clock, get up at 5.
See? Got them trained. That's right. Because that's the time that you repair. Exercise regularly. We talk about that too much, I think, sometimes. Having or giving a massage. Eating a balanced plant-based diet. Eliminating caffeine and alcohol. Go when I talk to you guys about that. Taking time out to do things that you enjoy. Walk in nature. You know, bubble bath. Don't laugh. I take bubble baths, folks. I'll tell you that right now. I enjoy it. I get my vasodilatation that way, you know, get my vessels relaxed. And I go to sleep better too. Connecting with others by sharing thoughts and feelings, altering your thinking styles. Be more realistic. Refrain from dwelling on problems. Test your thoughts and feelings and maintain a sense of humor. It's very important. Right? Yeah?
My nephew, I said some things on Facebook, and he wrote and said, I didn't know you had such a sense of humor.
Check your blood pressure regularly. I don't care if you say it's normal. I have it 117/70. I am fine. Don't believe it. Continue checking it. Trust me, it's important. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:6-7. Thank you for your time. Shall we stand? Loving Father in heaven, we thank you so much for all that you have provided for us for our health. All we have to do is just try to understand it and then apply it to our lives. We thank you for your love that you show us through these things, because we know that you want us to be healthy, in good health and prosper. And we thank you for all of this. Now be with each and every one on their way home. Protect them, Father, until we meet together again. Is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.